that what we're working with Qigong is a combination of movement, breath, and mind. So we're going to begin with breathing to start with. But just before we do that, if you're sitting or you're standing, just have a look down at your feet. Look at your feet, look at your toes, and check that your toes are pointing straight ahead and that your feet are parallel. So you don't have one leg sticking out to the side or in towards to you, and you don't allow your knees to fall in. So what you're looking for in either a standing or a sitting position is from your hips. If you were to draw a line down through your hips, the hips and the tops of the legs, the thighs are parallel, the knees are parallel all the way down to the feet, and they're parallel as well. So you're imagining you've got these train tracks, which are both your legs, and then running out into your feet. And that creates a nice openness in the hips. It relieves any pressure on the knee joints. And it's really kind of nice, a nice stable position for you to feel really well connected with the ground, really well grounded. And then if you're standing, you can either have your hands down by your sides, or you can have one hand on your lower belly, the other hand on top, or just one hand like this. You can do this if you're sitting as well, but also if you're sitting, you may want to have the hands just resting on the thighs, either palms up or palms down. So just have a play around with a position that's comfortable for you, remembering that the number one rule with Qigong is that you are comfortable and relaxed. There's no point in being in any discomfort at all, otherwise that will just take your focus and your concentration away from what you're trying to do. Okay. And just relaxing, finding that nice comfortable position. So in Qigong, we generally will breathe in and out through the nose. So the mouth is closed. Now, if you have any issues with sinus infections or with a cold, then you may need to use your mouth for breathing. But generally speaking, the breath going in and out through the nose helps to keep the mind nice and calm. So close the mouth and allow your tongue to rest against the roof of your mouth, with the tip of the tongue resting against the back of the upper teeth. Bring a smile to the corners of your mouth. So I'm going to keep reminding you as we do this practice to smile, because this relieves any tension in your face. The breathing is in and out through the nose. And just for a moment now, closing your eyes and watching your breath. So observe your breath and just ask yourself, is my breath fast or slow right now? Is it deep or shallow? Can I hear myself breathing, or is it silent? And does it feel as though there's any obstruction as I'm breathing in or out? Or does it feel nice and open and free-flowing? So just making a mental note of those observations, and we'll compare them with how you feel at the end of this exercise. So this first beginner exercise is called abdominal breathing. And abdominal breathing is the very basis and foundation for all the breathing that you'll practice during any Qigong exercises, pretty much, until you reach a very high level when there are certain other kinds of breathing involved. But mostly, abdominal breathing is the breath of choice. And some of you will have practiced this type of breathing if you've done any yoga classes or any other kinds of meditation. So with the eyes closed now, start to draw the breath in a little bit deeper into the lower belly. And what you're thinking of as you breathe in is that the lower abdomen area below the belly button expands, like blowing up an imaginary balloon. So you're breathing in, the belly expands forwards, but also imagine that balloon, it's a 3D structure. So it's also going to expand sideways and backwards towards the kidneys and the spine. So many people, when they practice abdominal breathing, just think of this forward movement of the belly pushing out and in front of them. But the expansion is actually in all directions, sideways and backwards too. So not trying to force anything, but just watching the breath and just allowing it to come a little bit deeper into the lower abdomen area. Feeling the belly expand as you inhale, and then as you exhale, just allowing the belly to shrink. So really first becoming familiar with the movement of the abdomen as you practice this type of breathing. So remembering, with Qigong, we're working with movement, breath, and mind. So you have the breath going on here, breathing in and out. The movement is this 3D expansion of the abdomen. So just settling into that before we bring the mind into it. Now, if you're standing and you're practicing this exercise, there is the chance, if you've never done it before, that you might feel a little bit lightheaded. And the reason is that you're bringing more oxygen in per breath. You're actually overdosing yourself with too much oxygen. So if you find ever that that's the case, then practice this exercise sitting down or even lying down. And if you are standing up somewhere and you want to continue standing to practice, just don't breathe quite so deeply until you get used to it. And then as you become much more accustomed to this breath, then you'll find that that isn't an issue at all. So we've got the mind to bring into this now. So with your eyes closed, what I'd like you to think of is as you breathe in, catching the very first little bit of breath as it enters the nostrils. Catch it with your mind and follow it all the way down through the back of the throat, down through the center of the body, down the midline, inside, all the way down into this lower abdomen area. And then as you breathe out, follow the breath back up with the mind towards the throat, the back of the throat, into the mouth, up to the nostrils, and then out the nostrils, consciously letting go of the exhalation at your nostrils. So your mind is now connecting with your breath and following it as you breathe in and out. Now, this is not necessarily an easy thing to practice if you've never done it before, but again, the more you practice with Qigong, the more things just become natural and really easy. It's a bit like if you're learning to ride a bike or you're learning to swim or play a musical instrument. You're not amazing at it the very first time you try. It takes a little bit of practice to acquire the skill of what you're wanting to do. So please don't be frustrated if you find this is a bit tricky right now. Be patient with yourself and just know that this will get easier the more you practice. So breathing in and catching the breath with your mind, following it down to the lower belly, and then breathing out, following it back up and out the nostrils, letting go with your mind. And this area in our lower belly has a special name in Qigong. It's called Dantian. And Dantian, I think of like a huge front-loading washing machine. So it's very dynamic. There's lots of energy, lots of qi swirling around in there. And as you bring this breath in and follow it down with your mind, you're adding more lovely, clean, fresh air into this Dantian area, which is your energy center. It's like the powerhouse from where all the qi is distributed around the rest of the body. So if you want to bring more energy into your body, to energize yourself physically, then simple abdominal breathing like this, but using the mind as well, can be very helpful. So just continuing with that for a few more breaths. Breathing into Dantian in the lower abdomen. And then breathing out, the mind following the breath and consciously letting go. Now, keeping your eyes closed and continuing with your breathing as I'm talking to you now, what I'm going to show you is a really helpful tip using abdominal breathing, which can be of therapeutic benefit to you. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, in your mind now, think of something which you don't want in your mind or your body. So it could be a physical ache or a pain, or stiffness or discomfort, like a joint pain or a stomach ache or a headache, something like that. Or it could be an emotional thing. So it could be frustration or sadness or grief or fear, anxiety. So you'll probably find as I'm talking now that one thing jumps into your mind. So pick that one thing, stick with it. There might be other things that you think, oh, I'm not sure I've got that going on as well, but just pick one main thing to work with. You can always work with something else the next time. And decide that that is the thing that you would like to lead out of your body by using the abdominal breathing. So as you breathe in now, still with the eyes closed, think of breathing in lovely, clean, fresh, energizing air into the lower abdomen in Dantian. And then as the mind follows the breath back out with the exhalation, breathe out that thing you've decided that you don't want. Consciously letting it go at the nostrils, but also seeing in your mind's eye that thing disappearing, floating across the room, out the window, and up into the clouds, far away from you. So breathing in, lovely clean air, and breathing out, encouraging that thing that you've decided you don't want to leave the body, very definitely seeing it disappear far, far away from you as you exhale. Keep going for a few more breaths with this. And as you lead out the thing you don't want, be sure not to do it with any malice or any anger. It's not a battle. What you're doing is you're really just clearing the pathway by which this thing can leave. So just encouraging it to be somewhere else rather than in your mind or in your body. And as this thing leaves, as we get rid of anything in our bodies that we don't want, from a health point of view, what that does is it leaves a space to be filled. So whatever is causing you problems, if you can find a way to ease it or to get rid of it, you create the space. And that space is for healing. So that's where breathing in the lovely, clean, fresh air can be of benefit to you. So it's a bit like decluttering a room. You can't bring more new, lovely furniture into a room if you've got your old, raggedy armchair sitting around the place. So this is a way in which you can declutter your body or your mind and make room for new, energizing, healing energy. And now, bring your mind, still with your eyes closed, back to the movement of your lower abdomen. Breathing in, feel the belly expand in all directions. Breathing out, feeling the belly shrink. And as you're breathing now, come back to the observations that we made at the beginning. Ask yourself, is my breath faster or slower than at the start? Is it deeper or shallower? Is it louder or more smooth and silent? And does it feel any bit more open and free-flowing? Or does it feel more congested? So making a note mentally of those observations can give you an indication as to how your Qigong practice is being of benefit to you. Gives you an idea of kind of where you're at. And now, still with the eyes closed, I'd like you just to place one hand flat on the lower belly, below your belly button, and the other hand directly on top of the first hand. So both hands resting flat over the lower abdomen. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed, well away from your earlobes. Don't forget to smile. And as you're smiling with your eyes closed, keeping your mind in Dantian now, in that lower belly area. And just with your hands now, just making small circles in one direction, rubbing your belly, just to bring your focus into that area and consolidate that breathing practice that you just performed. And then changing the direction. And then either allow the hands to come back down by your sides or to rest on your knees, on your legs, as you slowly open your eyes.